difficult season of their life. Give them strength to go on and let them know that life continues. And we bless the city of Rincon. We bless the mayor, the councilman. We thank you, oh God, for giving us a great city to live in. And we bless the businesses, we bless the churches, we bless the family, we bless the citizen. And we ask you, oh God, to let every decision that's made by this council, the mayor, be a decision that's signed off with you, oh God. A decision that's going to bless your people, bless the citizen, and be for the betterment of the city of Rincon. We thank you for living in a peaceable city. We thank you for living in a nice city to raise families, unbiased city, and we just thank you for all that you have done and all that you will do, because we're looking for Rincon to be exalted by the mighty hand of God. And we pray for your protection over the city of Rincon. We pray that you cover with your precious blood. Don't let the enemy come in. We thank you for blessing our schools throughout the years. We have not had any killings in our schools, and we thank you for that, Lord. And not many cities can say that, but we thank you for Rincon being a safe place to live. And we thank you for those that over the city of Rincon. Bless them. Give them wise counsel. Give them wisdom. Give them understanding that they will make wise decisions that will bless every individual, the city that will bless the city in general, God, because you know in advance. And God, the word of God said, your plans always outweigh the plans of man. So when they make plans, we'll let them include you in the plan. We bless you. We thank you. In Jesus Christ of Nazareth we pray. Amen. 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 Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We thank you, Pastor Maynard, for coming to do this for us.
I like having the different pastors come. It's nice.
It is nice. Yeah, maybe it'll help when we get multiple people in to pray for us.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Glad you could make it.
Sorry about my walk of shame.
It's okay. Nobody's going to say anything.
I appreciate that.
So we're going to start with the approval of amended agenda with the addition of 5A and 5B. Motion's in order. Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Ms. Underwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. And our next on the agenda is approval of the minutes for May 28, 2024. Does anybody have anything they want to add about those minutes? If not, the motion's in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Riley, a second by Ms. Underwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comments, every time we talk about this, but the comments should pertain to agenda items only. Should you wish to appear before council, you can go on, get with our city manager to get on council. You can also, I guess there's a thing there to go online, but either way, if you have any questions for him during the week, it's probably a good time. You can send him an email or something, and he can answer those things for you that don't pertain to the agenda. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our public hearing officer who just made it in the door.
I try to be efficient. Ladies and gentlemen, this will open the public hearing on proposed amendments to City of Rincon ordinances, specifically Chapter 90, Zoning and Growth Management, Article 1, Introduction, Sections 90-1 through 90-20, regarding enactment, purpose, and applicability, Article 3, General Provisions, Section 90-61, Nonconforming Uses, Section 90-63, Pre-existing Substandard Lots, Section 90-64, Buildings to be moved, Section 90-68, Land sale or other transfer or conveyance by reference to plat or map regulated, Section 90-95, Scenic easements permitted and encouraged, in Article 14, definitions, Section 90-361, definitions. Ms. Lewis, could did you have some words you'd like to share with council?
Good evening. So I am not gonna go through these in detail. The first chapter is general provision, so this is what allows us to have the UDO, and it's what keeps us legal for it. We made very few changes to this, our consultants made very few changes, just updated it to reflect that we're going towards a unified development ordinance now, and to just kind of update some language where they needed to. For the definitions, we went through every single definition so that y'all wouldn't have to. We looked at them all, we got rid of any that were extraneous, and then we also added definitions for anything that we're referencing in the code. So certain uses, anything that's in the use table now has a definition in the definitions section. We will probably be coming back towards the end of this entire process to add some additional definitions. As you know, we're probably about halfway through the process, so we still have some chapters that we're gonna be going forward with. And as a result of that, we may have some additional definitions for terms that need to be defined when we go through those. And that would just come through, before we adopt the entire thing at the end, it would just come through as a code amendment. So I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all have.
It's very cut and dry, so.
But this is probably the one that we'll these are the two that we'll spend the least amount of time going through in terms of kind of a lot of meaty information. Going forward, we'll have a lot to go through with the remaining chapters.
Yeah.
And I think, another question, for the council workshop, do we anticipate looking at some of the other areas, critical areas that we discussed, setback land and land requirements? I know this is just a definition.
Right, so chapter 3, which we're going to have the first reading of tonight, gets into the setbacks for all of the specific zoning districts. So we'll have that in just a little bit. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
It would now be appropriate if any other members of the public would like to speak in favor or against this matter. Now would be the time. Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing and turn the meeting back over to Mayor Pro Tem Mr. Exley.
All right. The first is our consent agenda. If nobody has anything that they want to talk about on that, then we can go ahead and a motion to approve the consent agenda. Move forward with that.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Riley, a second by Ms. Taylor to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to new business. This is a vote on the first reading of the ordinance to consider proposed amendments to the City of Rankin ordinances, specifically Chapter 90, Article 3, Section 90-67, Section 90-69, Section 90-72 through 90-87 regarding accessory structures and special use regulations, and wall standards. Article 6, Section 90-171 through 90-200 regarding zoning districts and uses. Anybody have any questions, comments? Motion's in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Ms. Riley, a second by Ms. Underwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2 is a vote on the application filed by Chris Van Campen with Maxwell Reddick and Associates on behalf of Bank of Newington, requesting site plan approval to construct a new 3,260 square foot freestanding bank. Property is located on Highway 21, is owned by Bank of Newington, and is zoned office and commercial. Anybody want to come up?
Sure, why not?
All right.
Hey again, I'm Trip Shepherd. I don't know if y'all remember me or not. If you like I am, you need somebody to introduce himself 2 or 3 times to you. But I'm president of Bank of Newington. We're really grateful for the opportunity to be considered by you guys for this project. This would be our 4th branch, which is a very big deal for us. And for those of you who know us, we're very involved in communities that we're a part of. We give a lot to local charities. We're involved in local sports organizations. And we just feel like that's our duty as a local business to be a very large part of the community. And which we've got many, many customers in Rincon. And so this is just the next logical step for us to be able to further accommodate them and to grow that base somewhat. So I'm here for any questions you might have. Nothing too technical. I'm not an engineer or an architect, so.
Well, I can't remember, what is the building gonna be built of, brick?
Yes, ma'am.
Brick, okay.
It's gonna be brick.
The only question I had was concerning the drainage, storm drainage.
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Lewis might be able to answer some of those since you said you weren't technical. It looks like, as you're looking at the diagram there to the left, the exit on the Chenier Road.
Yes, sir.
On the drawings I have, it appears to be just a pipe underneath the driveway to connect the existing ditch that runs along Chenier Road.
I believe it has, I'm gonna have to get closer to the line, won't work like it used to. There is some dry retention from the back up here.
Right, I had a follow-up question on that.
Okay.
I know that diagram doesn't show it, but I don't know if Mr. Lynn can bring up the next, keep going. That's probably the one you need right there. There's that funny looking drawing there on the left under the driveway. It looks like, looking at the pictures, there was a ditch in that area, so I'm assuming that's gonna be a pipe underneath the driveway that connects the ditch, so it's not going to the retention pond.
I'm not certain
I
of
know.
that. Yeah,
So-
I'm sorry again.
So you have here.
Yeah, right here. See, that's the one I'm talking about. And then right here, on the other driveway, it looks like it might be, and Tim, you may be able to help with these drawings. If you can look at them.
It's so tiny.
Yeah.
No,
I had to
is there
get
not
it on
some-
my laptop.
Is there not some storm sewer in there?
That it looks like it's going in, the one on the left is
Look at this picture.
into the ditch, but the one on the right may be tied into the drain system going into that retention pond, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
The one off the front should tie into that
Can you
box
look at-
right there.
You've got one right on the.
Can you look at this real quick? Is there not storm sewer there? Cause I see storm sewer.
Again, I
Yeah, the
I was-
road coming
I'm
out.
trying to see
We've
that.
had
I didn't-
hired engineers that, yes, ma'am, looks that way. That's it.
You got storm drain.
Let me see that.
That's the back of the
Is
property.
that back?
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, that might be it.
That's it,
That's
right there.
Lewis.
That's the one I seen. So that's where your drive coming
All right.
out. Yeah, so it's gonna feed into that storm drain. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw the picture
I'm
below.
sorry, I didn't mean to be-
And
Oh,
you've
no,
got the
that's
other
okay.
side, you got all these ditches too.
Right. We're not putting on this one, all that, that's the property
Okay.
right there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only concern I had was that retention pond too. That it
Yes, sir,
didn't
and
go
I-
into the existing storm drain or a ditch that was already Lewis Drive.
Yes, sir. And I apologize for not
Yeah.
being able to answer it more thoroughly. Again,
I
we've
think,
had
planning and
engineers.
zoning might have clarified some of that.
Well, I'm not an engineer either, so what I will say though is that we do have, all the plans that come into us get reviewed by an engineer to make sure that they are meeting all of the requirements of the code. So before it even moves to planning and zoning board or into council, we made sure that the capacity's there, that it's draining to the areas that it needs to, that everything's being retained on site that needs to be,
Okay.
so we do make sure that that's done.
Yeah,
before
that was my
it goes out.
concern. It didn't add to any more existing problems that may or may not be there already with, on Lewis Drive or Cheney.
Cheney Road.
Cheney Road, yeah. That was my main concern. I
Okay.
think we got it answered, though. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else have any questions? Good?
Thank you again.
Yes, sir. Motion's in order?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Blackwell, a second by Mr. Scott. All in favor say aye. Motion passes. God, this is about a long time.
Ready for this one,
Yeah, this is a long time coming here. But this is the approval, number 3 is the approval of resolution to permanently close and vacate the unused 20-foot wide unopened lane between Savannah Avenue and Georgia Avenue and convey a portion to each of the adjacent property owners. This thing went on for a long time, a lot of years, and, you know, we finally just, I'm sure it didn't make everybody happy, but, it is what it is, and we're finally getting some resolve to it. So thank you for staff and Mr. Lynn for pushing this thing, and Bobo, you guys moving forward with it as well.
Bobo's got a stack of quick claim deeds ready for y'all today.
Ready for your signature.
Yeah, they're ready. Everybody's satisfied. Ms. Jackson especially is good with it.
So she worked everything out?
Her and the gentleman she had an issue with have worked out their issues. And he will be getting the full 20 feet. He and Ms. Jackson worked out a private arrangement for that, so that's,
Oh, perfect.
we are good to go with that. Ms. Lewis and
Okay, so the
Ms. Lewis and I
building-
were in a meeting with the two of them. The building will stay.
The building, that's what my
Yeah.
point was, the building in question would stay since
That's
they made
correct.
alternate arrangements on.
That's correct. Ms.
the
Lewis
land.
and I were in a meeting with the two of them to hear it from both of them at the same time.
Perfect.
They were good to go.
That's awesome. We can check that off the list.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
Second.
So, motion in order?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Ms. Riley, second by Ms. Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 4, consideration and approval of name change for Rankin Golf Course to City Club at Lost Plantation.
I'm gonna turn this one over to Ms. Tara. I'm gonna let her take the lead on this one.
I've got the whole thing.
Good, good.
I'm Tara Childress, the clubhouse manager at Rankin Golf Course. This is Christy, the assistant manager, and Doug, the superintendent. We're here tonight to ask you to consider a name change for the golf course. I'm sure you're all aware that the course was renamed in 2023 for different reasons. Since then, we have received nothing but negative feedback and mostly confusion. On a daily basis, we're asked if we're still owned by the same people, are we still Lost Plantation, why are we Rankin Golf Course? Many people still call it Lost Plantation, and most still Google Lost Plantation when they wanna make a tee time. We still have 18 tee signs that read Lost Plantation. On top of that, we have merchandise with Rankin Golf Course logo that will not sell. We recently added new merchandise without the logo that has been selling great. The name change to Rankin Golf Course over a year ago has not been received well. Tonight, we're asking you to consider changing the name of the golf course to City Club at Lost Plantation. The new name would still send the message that we are a public golf course owned by the city, but also clear up any confusion about where we're located. More importantly, adding Lost Plantation would benefit us with the online customers. If customers continue to look for Lost Plantation online, there will be no problem connecting it to our golf course. For most purposes, we will just be City Club. That's what we want it to be. The Lost Plantation would be added for online purposes and also will allow us to keep the 18 T signs that we currently have. The golf course and restaurant have become a gathering place for many in our city. We are becoming more than a golf course. I believe we need a name that reflects that. Thank you for your consideration.
Ms. Childers, has anybody, that's currently playing at the course commented on the proposed changes, or have you been putting that out to the players as they?
There's a lot of talk about the name and changing the name. Have I talked to them specifically about what it might be? no, but,
I'm just curious. if-
no, not in specifics, but there's just been a lot of talk about it needs to be changed. I mean, it's been a year and people are just as confused. I mean, I started in March and daily we get asked just random questions, you know. And then the online thing is the biggest component of it because people are Googling the neighborhood and that's nowhere in our name. And then it like sends them somewhere else, a lot of times to a dead website. So it's just, there's a confusion that we hope to clear up if we have a name that includes everything that we need it to do.
People are creatures of habit, and most of us know that golf course
Right.
as Lost Plantation. Bringing that portion of it back into the name logically makes sense to me.
You know, my whole thing has been, no matter where the city had its amenity, that's where it should be. So if we had, you know, City Club at Reese Pines, if it was at Reese Pines, it would need to be at Reese Pines. And I never knew until I looked it up, but when you do look it up, it has nothing about Rincon Golf Course. It takes you to Lost Plantation. So people are confused when they go online and Google it as to what pops up, because that still pops up as Lost Plantation Golf Course.
Right.
So, and I don't even know how we can remove that. I'm not even sure.
That was my concern.
Yeah.
If we change the name and get the
Yeah.
old Lost Plantation.
Jonathan, I think that's something you gotta go through
With the
Google.
I think you have to submit a request to
To
Google,
Google.
and probably
Because
Apple
it's,
Maps,
uh,
the way
defunct
yeah.
entity now, you know.
We can do that.
And
I
we
was
have a lot of
concerned.
things with that name still on it. The reason I brought Matisse Signs is because for Joe, that's a huge expense, because it's 18, I don't even know what the expense is.
Probably $400 or $500 a piece, probably, just to change the sign.
Yeah.
So they all
sign
currently
changes
say
are
Lost
expensive.
Plantation?
Yeah.
They
Cause that's the
all say-
removal and installation of the sign too.
One of my main things is like she's mentioned, Google and Google Map. Cause people call me, even my vendors, and where are you? I'm in Lost Plantation, and then they know what golf course it is.
Well, and I like the logo without the name. So we'll always be City Club on a shirt,
Right.
but you know, when people look us up, it'll be.
Lost Plantation Golf Club.
Right.
I looked at it a lot, but I didn't realize that's.
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe we can incorporate City Club at Lost Plantation.
Yes. and
That's
that'll-
what we would hope to do, so that it has those words, it's online. Now, on shirts and things like that, what we would like to get to is just that symbol. We would like for people to recognize that symbol and know that we are City Club.
Right.
That's our hope. The online thing, that's why we wanted the last part included, it just stops the confusion.
Right. I like it.
Yeah. And I'm glad you guys came as a team. It means a lot.
Yes.
Working together.
Yeah.
I know that, in fairness to the last council, I sat here when the other recommendation came, and I didn't think anything of it really. Oh, it sounded fine to me.
Yeah.
And then it was like, people went ballistic
Yes,
over it.
yes.
It was crazy, and I'm
Right.
like, not a golfer. So people are excited about this. I've shown it to a few people, they're excited about it.
Any more questions, guys? Motion's in order?
So
Motion to approve.
Okay, I got a motion by Ms. Taylor, I got a second by Ms. Underwood. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Get, one question, the driving range markers, can we get a sign to show the distance?
We can,
Okay, 'cause I got a question about that,
okay.
'cause they don't, if the flag's going that way, you can't see the number. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank
Well, you
you.
get a sign, put it on the keys.
Yeah, or right there,
Oh, you're talking about up in the front, you can put
yeah,
it, show
so
what
we
color
can,
matches.
yeah, what color
distance.
matches the
Yes.
yardage,
Yeah.
yeah.
We can do that.
That'd be good.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank y'all.
I'll be out there.
thank y'all.
Thank you, thank you.
Good job, everybody.
And I really like the blitz on Friday nights, that's so much fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I really like that.
Guys, we've got a motion to set a special election date for November 5th, 2024 to fill the vacated seat of mayor for the city of Rankin. Anybody got any questions, comments? Motion's in order.
I so moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Underwood, a second by Mr. Scott. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This was the, add-on here for 5A. This is to approve a proposal for EMC engineers to complete a roadway assessment of city streets in the amount of $30,000. You wanna come up, Alex?
Sure.
Good afternoon. We talked about this for on and off for a couple of years and talked to Jonathan about it. Also, so basically it goes through and evaluates the roads in the city. There's about 220 to 230 roads in the city. About 7.4 miles would be classified as like a major roadway, and then everything else would be kind of like a minor roadway. It's almost 54 miles of those in the city. So this would go through and use a GDOT classification called PACES. It's a pavement condition evaluation system or scoring. And so you go through and you ride the streets, you look at them, you look at cracks, raveling, failures, potholes, and you rank all of the streets. So streets that rank below a 70 get a recommendation for some sort of repair or replacement or resurfacing, and then stuff higher than 70 may be some other sort of remediation that would extend the life of the pavement or maybe some other maintenance. So basically what it would be is go through and do all this stuff and come up with a report, and then work with the city to see how you wanted to group the projects, do a cost estimate along with the ranking, and then you can group roads together and kind of come up with a long-range plan of how you wanna, which streets you wanna do each year for the next, 10 or 20 years, of how you wanna perform street maintenance.
Good, I can't wait for you to come down my road.
Okay, questions. As we're ranking, can we also take into consideration roads we might connect with the county with, so while we're doing this, we can maybe coordinate with them, and
To
we've
do
talked
one-
about
one
that.
bid.
To do one bid, so the county and city, where our road meets the county road.
Like 4th Street or something like that?
Yeah.
And where that ends, what we do is bid on the whole project, and then utilize our money, our portion of it, to, our T-Splosh to go.
So
Yeah,
what
we
we're-
will.
Explain that better,
Yeah,
John.
what we're also looking to do, now that we do have our T-Splosh allocation, that 50% is now in our bank account, the 10.7 billion. Once we get this report, we can join with the county, not just for roads that connect, but to, have more purchasing power and try to bid out a bunch of roads together. Some would be in Guyton, Springfield, Rankin, and unincorporated Effingham. But you start bidding it out, those prices start going way down. People, more companies will start bidding on all that work.
Right.
Because their mobilization is going down, because they're gonna be here, so it just starts reducing that cost as we go. So that's gonna be this first step in the process. And like Alex said, you may get one road that's at a 50, but it might be right next to a road that's 72, 73, so they might go ahead and get grouped together since they're adjacent to each other. So
Right.
that's kind of what we would work
So
out.
we
when
can
get
bid
this
both
report.
of them and get a better rate on it.
That's correct.
So we'll try and be as cost effective as possible and save as much money as possible.
Yeah, we'd like to try to see, once we do some cost estimates and ranking, maybe you have 5 a year you do, or 3 a year, or 10 a year, just however much you wanna spend, or come up with a plan.
Okay, you
So
say-
I would think a workshop would be in order when
Well,
that comes
this
back.
is, yeah, once it comes.
Yeah, when
This
this
is-
comes back.
Right.
In middle to end of August is what this says?
Around 2 months, I think, to
And
get
you've
it all
got
done.
June 17th to August 16th on date of service.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mr. Messer, are y'all EMC gonna conduct this evaluation?
Yes, sir.
Cause I know the county did something like this about a year or 2 years ago where they hired another company to come and did all the county roads.
Mhm.
And they used, I wanna say a mapping along with the mapping system, but they used a camera and they actually evaluated some of the material in the road, you know, because they had a lot of dirt roads too, to evaluate. And I didn't know if that was the same process that you was going to.
It's a similar process. We won't be using the camera, but we do it for other counties. We do Emmanuel County and Candler County, and some other places. So we basically take the GDOT scoring system and somebody rides and looks at it. And
Hopefully not riding at 55 to 75 miles an hour, but more like 15.
So
But
we can
yeah, I
actually
like the
see-
walking. I think we get out and walk and be good.
Yes, for sure.
We have no ash roads, correct?
Start down
There's
my
no
road.
ash
No.
roads in Rankin.
so
No,
the
Doug's got all those.
yeah, the last few years, you know, we've been replacing a lot of the roads. There were older roads in the city that had like
There are a few
clay base or a soil cement base. So those were probably done, you know, 80s or 70s. You know, they were older roads, and so we were basically taking those completely out, putting in new rock and new paving. So now you're getting into, you know, the city has newer roads that were done in the last 20 years that are good roads that may only need resurfacing or something like that. So, you know, taking those older roads out, putting newer better complete roads in. So, should be getting into some of the, what we would call newer roads would need to be having some maintenance done on already.
All right. Any more questions, guys? Motion's in order.
So moved.
I got a motion by Ms. Taylor, a second by Mr. Scott. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5B, approve bids for Macomber Park improvements with bid award to Pinco in the amount of $395,260 and ACC in the amount of $450,025.25.
As,
Did we already approve this?
we didn't,
No.
as Mr. Morgan comes up, he did let me know, the bid for ACC is for $365,880. Their $450 bid was for Part A that we'll look to award to Pinco. I think Ms. Riley, remember when we transferred money to have the funds
That's
to
what-
do
that's
this?
what- that's what we voted on.
That's what we did.
So you, give me that amount one more time.
$365,880. And I'll let Mr. Morgan kind of detail how that's broken up into Part A for Pinco and Part B.
Mr. Morgan?
Did you send them what I sent you?
They have not seen it.
Okay. Well, I sent a recommendation letter. Jonathan told me this was gonna be added this morning. I was busy and out of the office. When I got back to the office, I prepared a recommendation letter and formalized the bid abstract, which tallies all the unit prices for both projects. And if you remember, we delayed this bid a couple of weeks for the same reason y'all were just talking about with your road paving, to add in the second part of this project. We broke it into two pieces. So we're bidding the project A, which is for all the concrete, revised storm drainage, the dirt work. And then there's a project B, which is for the fencing, the dugouts, the pole barns, and everything that was on y'all's list.
Now, is this the whole park or just the old park?
There was a couple of items related to batting cages and dugouts at the new park, but this started off being fixing the dirt and the drainage in between fields, the original fields 1 through 4.
Okay.
It had the concession stand,
Yeah.
So this includes all the backstops, fencing.
the fencing, and what we can talk about. I didn't put it on there, but I think I sent the bids to you and him. But we did get an alternate from talking with Shannon. We did the base bid. They're replacing everything from dugout to dugout. But from dugout to the outfield and around the perimeter fencing, we did the base bid for them to go in there and clean it off, keep and paint it.
Right.
After talking with Ms. Underwood and Shannon, and Jonathan, we put an alternate bid price in there, to remove the fencing from dugout, outfield to dugout, keep the existing poles, and just put up brand new fencing. And that number was $2,000 cheaper than painting the fence that you have. But The reason we put that in there as an alternate is because of the way supply and demand is. I would hate to tear that fence down, and then we gotta wait 6 months to order new fence, when we already got fence up. So it'll be something we can talk about. We can talk about it with the contractor and have them give us a lead time or something like that. If it's something y'all wanna do, we just build it into the bid.
Let me ask you a question on that. So if that fencing is available now, we approve that, that might be, even if you don't do it for a couple months, it might be, you know, advantageous for him to go ahead and get the material, right?
Correct. After we leave here tonight, if y'all are good with these numbers, I will notify them tomorrow that, their bids were approved. We will start preparing the contract documents for them to get their bonding, and then get their signatures, your signature, have a pre-construction meeting and put them to work. But in the past, we've done stuff like that routinely. When we know we've got something coming up, we buy the material. I think it was Waterline one time. We bought some Waterline because it was hard to find. So we bought the Waterline. The city paid for the Waterline. I think got it at a cheaper rate. So we had it stockpiled at Tim's Yard when time came to do the project. So we might could do the same thing,
Do the
something
same
like
thing,
that
right.
with the fencing. Or he could just buy it. We don't like to pay him. We'll pay him for stored materials, but we don't like to pay him the full price if they haven't put the fence up yet, that kind of thing.
Perfect.
But it's numbers.
Now, once this is approved, I know we just approved at the last city council meeting where we're gonna resurface the ball fields themselves with some areas gonna have new sod.
That's
new
already
clay,
underway.
And so this will not interfere with any of that project either, will it?
No, we'll coordinate
Or you
everything with
coordinate
Shannon, because we've got some people that'll be working in between the fields. We have him working on the
Yeah.
fields, and when he's done and they're doing concrete, we can have people working on the fences.
Right.
There will be some
Yeah,
scheduling
they wanna-
and coordination between the brick, the block backstops,
Right.
and putting the concrete in.
And the
So
And the
we
clay,
gotta get
the clay
ACC.
to mess that up if they went in there and did concrete or.
Yeah, we'll have
big trucks
we'll
and
have a
all that.
pre-construction meeting with both of them at the same
Good,
time to
good.
coordinate, and Shannon will be involved.
Yeah, cause I think I told you that was one of my concerns, was the drainage from the field, the block, backstop, and the drainage outside the field all coordinating, cause that was my biggest concern.
Right, well, I'm handling everything in between the fields and getting it out to where it needs to go instead of just sitting there. Shannon and the laser grade people are making these fields drain away from home plate toward the outfield to go to
Toward
the
the
outfield.
How wonderful is that?
Right.
And from home plate though, back to the inside of the park, was my understanding. From home plate to the inside and from home plate to the outside. Home plate would be kind of the drainage point.
Make it work.
Just coordination and construction is important.
And we'll figure it out, cause we will have now, we do have a block brick wall around the back of the,
Okay, and I guess you're working with Shannon and everybody, because I know she's, I think fall open league's gonna be a big thing, a real big thing, so she's gonna need her field, so.
well, we have 90 days for each person, and there will be some overlap. When it was just the inside, it was like a 60 to 75, but when we added everything else with the fencing and everything, the contractor said we need a little more time to do this.
And I don't know that necessarily there was any sod involved in this, I think he's going to be getting the grass up to, cause he's already
There
been.
were some areas they were gonna remove grass, if I
Yeah,
remember
cause
correctly.
he's already been out there irrigating, they've already got the irrigation fixed, and they're irrigating, that man's been back out and treated the grass, and their irrigations, I hadn't seen irrigation run out there in years, irrigations run out there so pretty right now. So they're working hard out there at Front Park.
Anybody got any questions, comments?
And all this is gonna come out of SPOS funds, correct, Mr. Lynn?
This will all be out of the SPOS allocation and Park General Fund. It'll be a combination of both of those, yes, sir.
Question, is the fence gonna be repaired where it came apart above the bleachers? Remember I said, we sent you pictures.
I've looked at that with Shannon, basically, it looks like somebody just leaned on it and they broke the fitting at the top. I think it's something where we can, through one of these people that are gonna be helping us with fencing, I think we just need a whole new top rail or a bracket.
Okay.
It's not a it's not repairing the whole,
So we can
removing and
probably
replacing the
cover
whole
that
thing.
under our normal
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah, that's a maintenance issue. Somebody
Okay.
just leaned
But
on
it's
it or
not something
fell.
that's, we gotta tear stuff out to repair. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Riley, second by Ms. Underwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Mr. City Manager?
Yes, sir. I just have a couple quick things tonight. First, I did mention that we did get our T-SPOS allocation. It is in the bank now. It's roughly 10.75 million. So just to remind everybody, we went in with the county, went ahead and they issued a bond. Got 50% of what the anticipated revenues are for the life of the T-SPOS this time. The overall number was about 120 million, so they got 60 of that. Once the monthly revenues come in and they pay that money off, we'll start collecting the monthly check again on top of this money. So once we get the assessment report in, we'll know where we can start paving, but we have other money in there for sidewalks, for trail planning, for other pedestrian facilities. So I will ask at some point in the coming weeks that we set a workshop date to start talking about how to prioritize using that money, but right now, that money is allowed to stay there and accrue interest for us. So that will be a sizable bit of money that we're allowed to keep.
So, with that being said, we're gonna get, Whitney will start getting us our information that we need on our budget numbers. And on top of that, I really think that we should have, some T-SPOS transparency. So maybe we talk about that, what we're spending it on in the meetings and when we go to spend it or when we put something out to bid for that. That's been one of the things that we've talked about. I think, people get the wrong perception of, oh, well, we're spending it at election time or we're doing this. We need to, have transparency. So when we get our roads picked out and we do that, then we can talk about what we're doing and how much it's gonna cost to get that done.
If you guys are okay with it, I'd love to start getting those signs and say,
Yeah.
this is your
Signs.
T-SPOS
Yeah.
penny.
That's what I was just
Yeah.
gonna say,
Yeah.
we need to highly publicize
Yeah.
That's right.
and identify where the funds
Yeah.
are coming from when we do these projects.
We've done that in the past, Savannah Avenue, some others like that, so.
Lord Street, yeah.
And people didn't, I think people misunderstood the T-SPOS. They thought they were voting to extend the T-SPOS.
That's correct.
And, is what they were voting for this last time. And, that keeps us out of our general fund and out of those things to be able to, so it's very important that we do that. So, but I think it's very important that we talk about what we're doing with that money, even to the point of having the signs, like you guys say, but also having a declining balance sheet that we can say, okay, we have 7 million left, and we spent 3 million on 1, 2, 3. Just having that.
Very, very simple to get that created.
Yep.
Jonathan, also, I think we all covet the input of our citizens. I think it'd be really good, because now that we've got Citizen Central, is there any way to do surveys with that?
I don't know that you could do
Or
a survey per
input.
se, but we could actually send out notifications of, here's a link to a survey to everybody quickly.
Let's
and
get some
them to-
ideas and feedback from citizens on what areas, I mean, I know Terry's seen some of that with the UDO stakeholder meetings, but I just think we give them every opportunity. Now, if they don't take the opportunity, we can't do anything about that, but we keep the doors open all the time for them to,
Yes, ma'am.
so, then I think that keeps us from surprises up the road, maybe.
You got some?
No, I have a couple other quick things.
Okay, go ahead.
We did submit our application, or we'll be submitting when Mr. Exley signs it. We are getting an additional $169,000 through the LMIG supplemental funds. There's no match to us for this one, so we'll make that application and we'll get that here in the coming weeks. I know everybody's looking around, they see all the red, white, and blue, so I know you all can chime in. We will be having our Rincon Stars and Stripes Freedom Party. We'll start with our parade Saturday, June 22nd at 10 a.m. The route for this year will go up Fort Howard to Lisa Street, cross over around Crystal to the post office and dead end into Freedom Park. Then starting this year, about 3 o'clock, we're gonna hopefully have some live music out there things happening up until about 9:15 when we intend the fireworks to go off that night. So,
Jonathan, to add to that, I want to say that Ms. Riley, Ms. Loper, Ms. Blackwell have worked really hard. I mean, you know, text messages all weekend. I think everybody's been involved in it, but, you know, I am, as a citizen, take all this out of it, I am very proud as a citizen of what we've done to accomplish this goal. And it's been some tough conversations, but, you know, we have pushed through it, and we've got some really good people pushing this thing, and I think it's just important that we recognize those people, because it makes me proud to be a citizen in Lincoln, to know that people are working that hard to make this happen.
Yes, sir. And the last thing I have, and I'll send the email with the date. We do have a date set for our first community engagement walk. I think I can't remember if it's June 25th or 26th, around 5:30 that evening, so everybody can kind of, if you would like to be involved, I'll send out the information. But that will happen, and that will take place with the Picket Fences neighborhood. So I will take care of you.
And I still owe you the video.
Yes, sir.
So that you can edit that and get it out to council.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that is all I have tonight.
And I guess this is the night that we do not do administrative reports from
That's correct.
our department heads, so we still appreciate everybody coming, not unless, Tim, if you got something you wanna add.
No comment.
Jonathan Miller, where are we, Seventh Street, we've been having some problems with some signatures. I think we've got through that.
Yeah, that's what we will work with you guys over there.
Oh, you talking about, so we can get that.
You wanna?
Is it a right of way issue?
Well, I talked to Terry this past week, we were in there, and she told me,
Right, with Ninth, we're still, so with Ninth, we just have one property owner, we're working through that process. The Seventh, I mean, we have very few left to work out the final details of the location.
Tim, have you identified, look at, if these are ones that already have the grinder pumps in? Because my concern is why should we have to request another easement on it, and we already have one. If it's one there on that property, now
My
we do.
understanding, whenever those grinder pumps were put in under the grant, that they required an easement then, before that the city would put them in.
They did.
So if they did, then we shouldn't be having
We
these conversations.
talked about these same words the last time we talked about
Right.
this.
And there's one property I do know, and it shouldn't be an issue, and that's the last on the end of Scott Street. The reason they need one is because they don't have grinder pump, but they need to cross their property. I can understand that, but I can't understand where the requirement comes when we already have a
When we have a
grinder
grinder
pump.
pump.
So are we replacing the grinder pumps, doing
No,
away with
we're
grinder
getting
pumps?
away
We're getting rid of
That's
them.
what I thought,
They
we're
got to
doing
run
away
them
from
and
it.
crazy.
Yeah.
Alright, so,
Yeah, if that's the case, that, I mean, if we can not have to do anything with the ones that already have grinder pumps,
That would narrow
we may
it.
be
where would the record,
about where we need to
can we
be.
research records of our easements and see if we can find that out?
Well, Tim knows
We're
which ones have
duplicating the
grinder
same
pumps.
conversation and the same actions from a previous meeting. We've already
So we
said
don't
all
have to talk
of
about it
these.
again?
No.
Someone needs to take the action to determine if we have.
Yep.
So I guess, so the laterals that we're putting to these residents may not be in the exact location of where the force main or the grinder pump. It would be near the grinder pump where it connects to the house, but it may not be, it may go down a property line and feed 2 residents, or it may go down and feed 3. So it may not be in the exact location, I don't know. if-
So it changes that easement.
It could change it, plus we've never been able to discover where there were any easements. And so that's why we did plats and moved forward with this, so.
Can you guys have that meeting? I mean, maybe the 3 or 4 of you guys, and include Tim in that, and let's see if we can.
Find the paperwork on the grant whenever it's issued. That would specify what's required.
Right.
When was that grant issued, Tim?
The
Do you
grant,
recall?
ended in 1999.
Okay. So it's probably in paper folder somewhere in archives.
Can I make a suggestion?
I'm quite aware, I'm familiar with it. I know, my parents signed it. I know maybe this, easement,
Yeah.
and it's there, but it's not. You still have city property or city equipment that you have to maintain.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah,
I don't see.
so no matter whether you made the easement over here and you gotta change it, you still have to have that
And I
property
think,
for the easement.
and the big issue that I talked to Terry and them about is, long as it's not encroaching the, area where you can build and keep it in the setback. And nobody had a problem as long as you keep it in the setbacks.
And EMC did that for us. After we had those couple meetings with some concerned citizens, they shifted, almost everything, so it's along a property line, along a street frontage, so that we aren't, either getting too close to, somebody's carport or fence, or that we're not precluding them from building, onto their property at some point in the future.
When you check the easements, go ahead and check Fourth Street easements, because that is on here too for future proposal for sewer extension to remove grinder pumps. So maybe we won't have this meeting discussion on Fourth Street for 4 or 5 months. So I'd go ahead and check Fourth Street while you're out there.
Well, they were all put into the same grant, except for the newer houses built. So they,
I think all those were along close to easements, close to property lines. I don't know.
I'd like to get.
Fourth Street's very limited. It's
See, y'all still.
Yeah, there's still.
Fourth Street is too.
William and
Ninth.
William, Ron.
That, my own neighborhood is still on.
Just to throw it out there while you're checking, check Fourth Street, maybe they'll save you some time up the road, Terry. Just throwing it out there.
That's going, once they get that in, that's gonna save a lot on this place when it labels.
The ones they put those grinder pumps out, put the gravity laterals in, city's responsibility to move back to the property line.
Right.
Well, that's gonna help a whole lot, it's gonna cut labor costs.
Expense,
We're buying these pumps like, I don't know what,
Twice a year.
the time they have to take to put them in, it's ridiculous.
Mr. City Manager? you got
It
anything
has
else?
slowed down some. We get the better quality pump at the same price that we were before.
We don't want any, tired of buying.
No, I agree, we need to get moving, we've reached out to property
But
owners,
you know why
we had a
they-
meeting with them here before a council
Yeah.
meeting one night, the ones that would show up, so
Do
it's
you know
just-
why they've gotten better with the grinder pumps? Because they've used all the money that we've spent buying them to
Yep.
get better.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
I'll give you permission to come to my house and take care of it.
Michelle will give us an easement.
There you go.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Don.
That was everything I had today.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else?
I have a few things.
Go ahead.
I was coming down Ninth Street the other day, and once again, there was a semi truck that took up every lane to turn from Ninth Street south on 21. Even the turn lane on North 21 coming in Ninth Street. I mean, these semi trucks on Ninth Street, that are pulling loads, but can we see about getting these trucks signs on Ninth Street and on 21? 'Cause somebody asked me about that the other day. They thought we were gonna make trucks move over to the right-hand side. I told them
Yeah.
I really had forgotten about that one, but.
So with the 21, GDOT, the request is into GDOT to put the signs up. They said they will do it, just like they did Fort Wilbur. Now, when GDOT says they're gonna do it, you're at their mercy. I'll send a reminder back out to them, or to a request to see where that's updated. To
So
see where we're going.
don't they have a representative at the, Transportation Advisory?
They typically have
Yes,
somebody
they-
that's on the
they-
call that goes through some of the projects.
So maybe we can stand up and say, hey, we're waiting on this, it's important, we need to move forward. Just keep saying it over and over at that meeting until somebody decides to check the box.
Yeah, I mean, and we could put them up on Ninth Street. I think it's gonna be hard to enforce until we get the east-west corridor, taken care of, but we can put them up and see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm sure that truck I saw the other day probably came from 17 or something, cause he
That's
was,
right.
he was awful. Terry, I know I talked to you, David, I forgot to ask you this. Could we see about, possibly adding pond irrigators, fountains into all these retention ponds Cause A, it's gonna keep stagnation down, it's gonna keep mosquitoes down, and then do something about codes and ordinances for people to keep these things clean and safe. I know a couple of years ago I mentioned this and got food on it, but, because I literally went and saw kids playing in the pond at Windsong too when I rode through there. And the next morning, the neighbors on Dasher's Landing was pulling an alligator out of their pool. So, safety in these ponds are gonna be an issue. And then I see a lot of areas, especially our corridors, which look bad. I know we got edgers for these guys, but we're training them on how to use them, cause even the sidewalks in front of City Hall look awful. I mean, maybe we can go look at what Chick-fil-A and Kroger and them are doing and mimic that, because if they can do nice edging, I don't know why we can't. But that's just a thought, and it's not a biggie, it's not a life changer, but there's that, it's just a pet peeve. And then ADA issues in some of the subdivisions, where are we at with that? I know Bobo was looking into that.
Yes, we've looked at it and we've found no requirement that action be taken currently. Now, if there's a renovation of specific areas on a project-by-project basis, we'll need to have a follow-up discussion and follow-up action. But as things stand right now, both the GMA, the entity that helps organize both policy and legal actions, have advised there's not a specific action that needs to be taken right now by the city.
So, and what I mentioned to you all the other day was, yes, there's a requirement for sidewalks. The sidewalks are there. There's no requirement for how far apart or how many, you know, per block or anything like that of getting off. So if your block is 1,000 feet, at the end of each block. If it's 200 feet, at the end of each block. So you gotta, you know, you gotta have a way to get on and off. So I think that's, you know.
So is that something we're just gonna add in while we're doing this other sidewalk, maybe do one block per?
I think so. Yeah, if we do the sidewalks, I know specifically we talked about, and EMC gave us prices for the Willow Peck subdivision and everything getting to the golf course. If we approve that project, whoever would come in, we would ask them to add some of these pads. In strategic
And looking
locations.
at all the neighborhoods, and I think we start away from the one that we're putting the sidewalks in for the amenity and work our way toward that. So we need to start in some other neighborhoods and go ahead and start getting that done.
Yeah, and if you guys look, the sidewalks that were done on Fort Howard in 21 all have them in there.
Right.
Those pads are there too.
So you're saying we do nothing at this point?
I'm saying there's no specific effort that needs to be done as we sit here today. Now, as projects are undergone project by project, we should look at what's being replaced and redone and work with the engineers. Right now, that's what the law requires. It does not require you evaluate and make compliant that which has been grandfathered in.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So what he's saying is legally there's no issue right now,
Well,
but we should consider it.
What I worry about is what sidewalks were put in after the law came into effect. You know, where people went in and poured sidewalks and didn't put ADA in. That's the only thing I'm worried about is, you know, we didn't hold them accountable in putting that in. So therefore, we gotta go back.
In my understanding, based on speaking with the GMA folks and looking at our case law, is the requirement is as you replace or renovate are the key words.
Okay.
You have to look at it. And so I can't say right now which ones I would apply to.
Okay.
But that would be the approach for that we're here.
And we'll be as proactive as we need to be as we go through this.
Okay, and are we making sure that all these, developers from this point forward are doing what they need to do?
Absolutely, yes ma'am.
I'm tired of several of them getting a buy every time we come to Lincoln, honestly.
No ma'am, we absolutely keep them all consistent.
Oh, and I have one last thing. We would love for the Bank of Millington to get involved in our parade.
So June 22nd?
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
And you see Miss Riley there, you can talk to her after the meeting, she'll be glad to help.
That's
you.
right. Put your convertible in there,
There you
Trip,
go. I got
stand
two
up
on.
waving at everybody.
Now, everybody I know that's bought a convertible went broke after that.
Well, rent one.
Clear that, there you go.
Thank you for that. Anybody else got anything? All right.
Oh, I'd like to mention something, I'm sorry, but I'm not, I apologize. I do wanna go home, but I wanna mention something, because we're doing 4th of July, and I just wanna make an announcement about something, because it's important. We've been talking about hometown heroes and stuff, and, last week, a man that lives here in Effingham County, when he was, I'm not nominating anybody. I wanna tell you that, I wanna make mention of, Buck Bagley went missing 80 years ago in Burma. His, son Woody Bagley lives here in the Rincon area. He was a baby when his dad went missing. Some years back, they asked for Woody to give a DNA donation. And, just 2 weeks ago, they have identified his dad, and after 80 years, he's coming home. So I just like to make special mention to Buck Bagley tonight.
It's
Well, that
never
was-
too late.
That's right, that was worth our extension of time.
Yeah.
So there is a motion in order to adjourn?
Motion
If
to
it-
adjourn.
All right, so I got a motion by Ms. Riley, I got a second by Mr. Scott, all in favor say aye.
What about executive session?
Do we have that?
No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I know.
I wrote,
No executive
I wrote here,
session.
no executive
So,
session.
we had done it there.
It'd be a nice little curveball.
Hey, Jonathan, home alone.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what I get for being late.
That's all right. Wait a minute.
I got everything tagged.
Yeah, paperwork.
Everything Thank you for watching. Just a letter
I'm on the, Sylvania City Council. Yes, I see him,
Thanks, guys. Love it. Making things happen.
I'd really like to know how I'm gonna be on time.
I don't like to be.
I think that's what happened.
Talking to you. Plan a meeting.
Still see it, is that?
Thank you. Hold on.